So first question, my friend, is from what I've read and from what I've seen, you face significant challenges from a young age. So how did you take these early obstacles, and how does this shape your approach to fitness, and how does that continue to influence you with your work and the work that you're doing with your clients today?
It's really a two-part answer because one, being fluent in failure and obstacles, confronting obstacles unsuccessfully, it gave me the lived experiences that it wasn't final. Because I failed after the first attempt, I had to keep trying. And when I was a kid, they would give you the end and then they would give you the means. They would say, if at first you don't succeed, so success was the end. Try and try again. So repeated attempts was the means. When I studied entrepreneurship, they said fail fast and fail frequently. So the young entrepreneurs go out and do that, and they're like, I don't get it. I'm failing fast and frequently. I don't like this. They didn't tell them the end. The end was to stop doing what doesn't work, find what does work, and then repeat that. So for me, by not finding success right off, it just intensified my hunger to be athletically attractive. I mean, I'm sitting in the bleachers intentionally because, I knew early on I was going to get a full ride. I was going to ride the bench for the full game. So because I didn't have a hook on which to hang my coat or my hat and say, I've arrived athletically, that drove me. That drove me as a kid. When I got into the military, that pursuit of perfection, 300 points on the PT test, caught the attention of my supervisors, and they were like, look, you need to help your shipmates. I'm like, it's a full-time job trying to get 300 for myself. And I don't even know if they want it. So no, thank you. And the way the military works is some things they can give you a direct order, and some things they can highly encourage and strongly recommend and stump their foot and wink their eye. And you realize this is about as close to a direct order you're going to get. And they're not going to stop until they get an affirmative answer. Yeah. So I started working with them and seeing their success. And that's where it transitions from my persistence and pursuits ended up benefiting other people, because I figured out how to be athletically successful and attractive. So I had firsthand experience with failure. So when I helped the people in the military, it wasn't punitive. I wasn't trying to punish them or trying to show them how out of shape they were. They knew they were out of shape. That's why they were on the program. So it was my job to set them up for success. And by making a map for them of small successes, it encouraged them that they could meet or exceed the Navy standard, because I had helped them to achieve, maybe they could do 5 push-ups where they couldn't even hold their body in a plank. So I would break apart what their task was. If it was running, well, let's strengthen your legs and your cardiovascular system. You don't need to do a lot of heavy lifting. I need repetition. I need you to be able to endure this event for 10 minutes, 9 minutes, whatever their target time was. And then by breaking it apart, we would focus on those pieces, and the mastery of each individual piece eventually made them successful in push-ups, made them successful in sit-ups, made them successful in running. And they started to feel a greater sense of confidence in their own ability. So of course they show up differently at work. They're not being held back from promotion because they failed this test, or they were concerned about passing a weigh-in or body fat composition measurement. So I think seeing their successes really brought me out of that desire to just focus on myself. Because if I could give them that type of hope and empowerment, then I wanted to keep doing that. Like, I got addicted to seeing other people achieve their goals.
You know what? It always amazes me when I have these conversations with people that have done so much, and it's motivating and inspiring. Just like, that's one question and one answer. And I'm like, inside I can feel excited, right? Like that, your passion is obvious, right? Your willingness to help people is, something that you don't see every day, right? So, and that transitions right into, elite fitness, right? Reading about you and, being told that you were going to fail the swim test, to becoming one of the first fitness instructors for the Navy SEAL support. It's a remarkable journey, right? So, what mindset shifts or strategies did you adopt to transform yourself from those early, challenges to achieving such elite status?
Well, I think the hunger never went away. And so once I got a taste of a little athletic success, I developed ADHD. I was athletically, I had a short attention span. I wanted to get to the podium, finish in the top 5, top 10, whatever, and then see what else was out there. And I think those pursuits kept me in shape physically and psychologically to be a competitor, to be an elite warrior athlete, and to look for a culmination where I could say, you know what, I'm done. And that never came, because when I would take the test in the Navy and score 300 points, I would ask myself, now, is this even like collegiate performance? I was like, I don't know. And so I walked onto a college track team at 45, and I guess I answered my own question. I said the conditioning was there, although the assessment was the same assessment I took in the 8th grade. So in my mind, I'm thinking, just because you score 300 points doesn't mean you're that great of an athlete, because, if you take a test long enough, you can figure out how to fall your way through it and come out on top. So I always wanted to be a world-class athlete. As a little kid, I watched Dave Scott and Scott Tinley duking it out for the Ironman. I watched Greg LeMond's ride, defend his championship. Defend his yellow jersey for the Tour de France. Edwin Moses was on the cover of the Wheaties box. I have an autographed version. General Mills sent me that. It was kind of a consolation. You didn't make the Olympics. We kind of still feel sorry for you. Here's his world. His world record still stands. Here's an autographed box of him on the cover. So I was surrounded by it as a kid. And even today, I still have not, in my opinion, achieved something that can allow me to walk away and say, look, I did my very best.
Yeah. So when you're talking about the scoring the 300 on the test, what are you graded on? What's the scoring system? How does that work?
Well, there's a potential 100 points for sit-ups or curl-ups, as they call them, a potential 100 points for the push-ups, and a potential 100 points for the walk, run, or swim. So the run, I wanted to do it for the 18-year-olds. So that was 8 minutes and 10 seconds. Push-ups were like 80 something. And then the curl-ups were 100, and I think my highest was like 115 or somewhere north of 110. And if you met those criteria, you got 300 points. Now the kicker is, if you maxed out the push-ups, sit-ups, and the run, but you couldn't sit down and touch your toes, you'd fail the test. So I was flexible enough. I met the height weight standard, so my 300 points stood. That was the standard for me. The latter part of my career was to just go somewhere and score 300. And I would take the test repeatedly, trying to improve my score. Yeah, I got 100 points, but I'm still going to bring the time down in the swim or the time down in the run. And so it was a competition for me of Olympic proportions, although it was just in the military.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that, Karlton. Appreciate it. You emphasize accountability a lot, as a key success in fitness and health. So can you elaborate on how you integrate that accountability in your programs and why it's so crucial for long-term results and success?
I wish I could detail how it's implemented, but somehow, like, I interview clients and they're like, look, I just didn't want to disappoint them. I just wanted to be ready. I wasn't going to miss a day. And, I'd show up and be like, look, you were out on the boat over the weekend and it shows. So guess what? This is going to be a stretch and massage day for you. So, and some clients, they'd have the tables at their home. So it was great. If they didn't, I just roll the mats out, do some things on the floor. I think because they saw themselves doing things that they didn't believe was possible. Most women say, hey, I can't do a pull-up. So I would help them develop the muscles that allow them to do a pull-up, because it's a dynamic plank in a vertical position. A push-up is a dynamic plank in a horizontal position. So if I can teach you to keep your body from swinging all over the place and pull your elbows towards your rib cage, guess what? Your body is going to raise up.
Mhm.
So when they see those types of things from a person they didn't feel could do it, they buy into the program. So they're looking for more of these small successes. I think that is my observation of how the accountability works. They're seeing what they're pursuing come to fruition. You know, they're actualizing it through following these little steps and let me be their guide, or they're accompanying them on this little tour. And they know when they were by themselves, it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And they know I'm going to be back, guess what? Week after week after week. And I'm going to help you with every single rep. My eyes are on you. That's why some people like group training, because they
Okay.
get a break. I got to go to the next person. When it's one-on-one,
Yeah,
it's like, even when I wear glasses, all four of these eyes are on you. So pull your belly button in, you know, bring your shoulders down, because the form breaks down as they get fatigued. So I think they saw that as the key to them getting results. So they would submit to accountability in that regard.
Okay.
But I think to keep seeing the smaller successes, they held themselves, they did what they needed to do so they could show up and be present when it was time for us to train.
Awesome. Thank you. So and correct me if I'm wrong at any of this, at 46, you became a USA track and field silver medalist. And at 49, a hopeful for the 2020 Olympics. So what drives you to pursue such athletic heights, and what lessons can you take from those experiences that you can pass on to your clients?
Well, I traveled with the Olympics. I use my air quotes. So in 1992, I was in Rota, Spain. I was in southern Spain when the Olympics were in Barcelona. That year was the World Fair, or the World Fair was in Sevilla, not far from us in Spain. So the military, the Navy was sponsoring trips to the World Fair. The Air Force, who was not in Rota, Spain, they were in another part of Spain, they were taking their airmen to the Olympics. So that's 1992. 1996, I'm in Augusta, Georgia. The Olympics are in Atlanta. I sat on my couch and watched Donovan Bailey set a world record in the 100 meters after Linford Christie refused to lead the track. So 2000, the Olympics are where? Where were the Olympics in 2000? 2000. I was in Greece. I was in Crete. So I think the Olympics were in Athens that year.
Yeah. Okay.
And I guess 2004, they were they ever in Australia? But I had this thing of following the Olympics around. And so in 2008, I believe there was going to be, no, 2004 was the year they premiered the triathlon. So I'm asking the Navy, hey, can I PT on my own? I want to train for the Olympics, da, 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 da. It was a disaster. At every opportunity, they found a reason to say no. You know, I got invited to participate in a study here in the States, in Florida, and the doctor who was asking me to come wrote a letter, and they submitted it to our flight surgeon. The flight surgeon said there's no way this is going to interfere with his flight duties. They still said no. So because I was always following around and never getting to participate, after I retired and wrote a book, I was doing a book signing, and I thought to myself, I saw Jenny Simpson. She's I think 1,500-meter runner from America. And I said, our maiden name is Simpson. Maybe I should go out for the Olympics. And the manager at the bookstore was like, I don't see why you wouldn't. We're here to support you. At the time, I was sponsored by Injinji. And I was improving my 5K time. So I said, you know, that translates to a pretty decent 800-meter time. And I just kind of left it at that. And the more I ran, the more my times improved. I said, you know what? I'm going to go on and get this Olympic thing checked off the list. So 2016, I mess around and fracture both my feet. I've got heel spurs and traumatized left plantar fascia. And I'm just like, if I can just make it through to the trials, you know, and I did make the trials, and I had one race left, and that's where I won a silver medal. And so I said, you know what? If I'm healthy and I don't run college track, because everything changed overnight when I got onto the college track team. The intensity, the surface changed, the frequency changed, because I'd run twice a week, and I went from twice a week to 5 times a week. So I figured, you know, if I just train and stay healthy, 2020 should be in the bag. So NBC does this highlight on this AARP card carrying grandpa. The story makes it to Japan, and they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Ain't no way in the world we having the Olympics where this grandpa gonna come over here and beat these kids. We gonna have the 2020 Olympics in 2021. Any third grader know that don't make no sense. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I caused a postponement of 2020 Olympics, and it's all because I'm at my best when I'm pursuing something that's bigger than me. I have to find out what the potential of this body is, since I had so many obstacles early on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had a desire, I had ambition, but the athleticism took about half a lifetime to develop. So
Yeah.
I have to follow this thing through. So that brings me to the rematch with this Ironman later this month.
Yep.
And with the training I'm getting in, I don't see why I'm not going to be on the podium.
Awesome. And I still have one question, but like, this is great stuff, man. Like it's truly remarkable to hear everything that you've done to get you where you are now, and you're still going, right? So, you know, you encourage your clients to think in the future, you know, their fitness journey. So those people that struggle with, you know, long time focus or commitment, how do you get them to stay committed to their future goals?
They get these short retreats. They get these luxury retreats where they have run-ins with their own potential. If I told you it's going to take 5 years, and after 5 months you don't see anything, you know, within minutes, people realize something is different from our program.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is to introduce them to the person they once were, en route to the person they have yet to become. And when they say, well, I did this in high school, I did this in football, I say, well, that's easy. We'll just get you reintroduced to that. You're a little older, you got a little less testosterone, so we're going to go about it like Rocky Balboa. You know, we ain't going to have you doing all this extra stuff that looks cool and sexy. We're going to cut to the chase. What do we need to do to improve your endurance, to improve your balance, to improve your mobility, your flexibility, all the components required to make you durable for the training that is required. And when they see the transformation, they see that just from stretching, they're introduced to muscles they didn't know they had.
Yeah.
We can't move the body without contracting some muscle. Now, whether you know the name of it or not is inconsequential. That muscle still got to work. So when I take them through movement patterns that awaken those muscles, they're like, man, that's just the warm up. Yes, because your mind and your muscles and your skeletal system, they have to be prepared for what we're about to do. Now, I just get you jumping rope or running on the treadmill. If that's all our workout session consists of, then that's great. But if I need you moving, contracting, releasing, transitioning, then that's what I've got to prime your body to do. And that process alone inspires a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it lets them see, oh, if I was only using the muscles in the front and I start using all the muscles, wait a minute. So you mean my metabolism goes up? Yeah, you become a fat burning machine. And their clothes start fitting different. And they help their girlfriends move. And the girlfriend looks at their back and they're like, how'd you pick up that, you know, that bookshelf by yourself? Been working out with Karlton. So I think they can see themselves in the future because we have all these points in the interim where they are successful. They're doing something they never thought possible. They're becoming fascinated with their own body and their own muscles and their own potential.
Awesome. So I'm actually just pulling up your profile here on LinkedIn because you talk a lot about the triathlon and what you're working towards for the next month or so. Was the 29th, I believe you said?
29th.
Yeah. So what's the triathlon about? Where is it? What are you hoping to get out of this?
I think they had a talk with the mafia because they made an offer I couldn't refuse. The bike course runs right across where I live right now.
Okay.
And last year, I misunderstood where the fueling station was. It's 10 miles from the start to my house.
Okay.
And they say, oh, no, 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 we got another 5 miles before there's water and Gatorade and all this stuff. I'm like, man, if I had my key, I would have went home. But the fact that it runs across where we live and it's Ironman, I said, I got to do this. So last year, I didn't really prepare.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer your question, it's swimming for 1.2 miles,
Yep.
riding a bike for 56 miles, and then doing a half marathon, which is 13.1 miles for a total of 70.3. So I was the fittest looking loser out there last year. I was shaking hands. I was conversating, meeting friends. I was getting out of people's way for the swim because I started with the weaker swimmers because I needed more time to stretch.
Yep.
And I know how it is. I mean, open water swimming, you start freaking out. So I said, let me tread water. Let them get on by. Let me get on my back. And besides, I was swimming to South Carolina. And a little Marshall in the kayak got so tired of telling me, he just put his hand on my head and pointed me the other direction. So I'm going to be dialed in this year, focusing on the swim, doing my sighting of landmarks so I stay on course.
Yep.
Biking, I'm staying on the bike, pushing the paddles. Last year, I got off every rest stop. I was protesting. I said, I'm going to get off and I'm going to eat my money's worth for this race. I would have took the sandwich from Subway from the volunteers if they would have offered it to me. But this year, we're going to be dialed in. Everything we need is going to be on the bike. And I just got to keep myself moving. It is within reason to cut that time in half. I spent 30 minutes in transition because I was ticked off. I was like, the bike course, I didn't like how it was laid out. They ain't got nothing to do with me. However it's laid out, I need to speed my way through it. So I'm doing that to give a better showing of myself. I may check it off the list this year and say, you know what, I'm done. If I get a sponsor, hey, I'll come back and do the training. There's no question whether I can complete it or not. The question is, do I want to continue training for that much of an endurance event? I want to go back to track and field 800. I don't have to spend hours on a bike. I could just go run a couple miles and then do some intervals on the track, do my little weight training a couple times a week and call it done.
Yep. Right on, man. And you talk about sponsors, the whole 70.3 miles, half the distance. So I was looking at this and I did run 122 miles last month. I would like to donate $1 for every mile to sponsor your triathlon. So I'll figure out how to do that. I think you got that listed. I believe it's a QR codes in there. So I hope that helps your journey, your prep, and I wish
it's helping my mindset. I got the 100-miler in my corner. I'm gonna have to. Hey, look, y'all hold that Gatorade. I'll come back and get that. I got to put this time in. I got to make it count.
So yeah. So I hope that works for you. I sincerely appreciate everything you talked about today. Appreciate your time, and it's awesome getting to know you, my friend. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for being consistent in your mileage. It means a lot. I mean, I go looking for what's the next graphic gonna look like. You got your daughter out there. I mean, it's one thing when you can inspire yourself. It's another thing when you can inspire your family to come along with you. For that, I salute you.
Appreciate that, Karlton. Thank you. So on that note, my friend, appreciate your time. I'll let you know when this is all posted and get everything linked up for you. And wishing you nothing but the best going forward, my friend.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, bud. Talk to you soon.
Take care. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.